Welcome to Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner.
In our top story, the United States has carried through on its threat to quit the United Nations Human Rights Council. Nikki Haley, America's ambassador to the UN, called the UNHRC a cesspool of political bias and a hypocritical self-serving organization that makes a mockery of human rights. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo described the group as a poor defender of human rights. Both Haley and Pompeo said the decision to leave the UNHRC was made after a long year of efforts to shame the council into reforming. Pompeo added that the agency's unconscionable bias against Israel is well documented. The Israeli-Arab conflict has a permanent place on the agenda every time the UNHRC convenes. The Jewish state is constantly denounced while countries like Syria, Iran, and Libya remain unscathed. And that's not all. In an unprecedented move, the United Kingdom's Foreign Secretary joined the United States in decrying the Council's anti-Israel fixation. Boris Johnson said his nation shares the view that the dedicated agenda item, number 7, focused solely on Israel and is disproportionate and damaging to the cause of peace. And Johnson warned that unless there is a change, next year London will vote against any resolutions introduced under this item.
Ties between Jerusalem and Amman are improving. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Jordan to meet with King Abdullah for the first time since an Israeli security guard was attacked at the embassy in Amman last year. The guard defended himself, killing 2 Jordanian men in the process. The incident caused a diplomatic rift, which led to the Israeli ambassador's expulsion from the Hashemite kingdom. Since then, Israel's foreign ministry has worked tirelessly to repair ties with Jordan. The Prime Minister's office released a statement saying that Netanyahu and Abdullah discussed regional developments, advancing the peace process, and bilateral relations.
The European Union is funding groups that work to prosecute Israeli soldiers. A report released by the NGO Monitor Watchdog organization states that the EU has given nearly $300,000 to 3 left-wing organizations who requested the funds, claiming they wanted to eradicate the culture of impunity among Israeli security forces and personnel. Israel's Justice Minister Ayelet Shaked condemned the European Union's actions, saying it is absurd that while Europe enjoys the full benefits of Israeli intelligence, the EU itself is harming Israel's security.
Iran continues to build proxy armies and terror infrastructure throughout the Middle East. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu briefed the International Homeland Security Forum in Jerusalem, saying that the hardline Islamic Republic has brought over 80,000 Shiite soldiers into Syria from Pakistan and Afghanistan. These militants have been ordered to forcefully convert Syria's Sunni population and to stage attacks against the Jewish state. Netanyahu warned that this is a recipe for another civil war in Syria, the sparks of which could spread into Europe and cause endless upheaval and terrorism in many nations. Jerusalem has vowed to stop the spread of Tehran's fanaticism, which the premier stressed will also assist security organizations in other nations all over the world.
A squad of elite Israeli soldiers led a covert mission into an Arab village to capture the terrorist responsible for murdering one of their colleagues. 20-year-old Staff Sergeant Ronen Lubarsky was killed several weeks ago when Islam Yusuf Hamid dropped a large concrete slab on the soldier's head from the roof of a 3-story building. The deputy commander of the Duv Devan unit said that his team had no doubt that they would be tasked with the apprehension of the terrorist responsible for their friend's murder. He explained that his unit infiltrated the village in broad daylight. They entered Hamid's apartment and pulled him out of bed while he was still asleep. The mission was accomplished without any injuries.
Israeli and American paratroopers trained together in Europe recently as part of the U.S.-led swift response drills. 40 Israeli officers and soldiers from the paratroopers unit practiced taking over an airfield in Poland as part of the joint operation organized by the U.S.-European Command. The Israelis worked closely with the U.S. 173rd Paratroopers Brigade, simulating night missions in forests. Israeli Major General Ido Sharir said that this was the first time the nation's paratroopers took part in an exercise on such a scale, and pointed out that they were held in Germany and Poland, where many of the Nazi death camps were located. He added that standing alongside the U.S. Army, which helped liberate the camps, had great meaning for the Israeli soldiers, who concluded the maneuvers by singing Israel's national anthem, Hatikva, which means the hope.
Israeli officials are upset over London's labeling of the Old City of Jerusalem as part of the occupied Palestinian territories. Kensington Palace released the official itinerary for the Duke of Cambridge's upcoming trip to the Holy Land. It has taken an odious and incorrect position by refusing to recognize Israel's sovereignty over Jerusalem's Old City. Cabinet Minister for Jerusalem Affairs, Ze'ev Elkin, said that United Jerusalem has been the capital of Israel for 3,000 years, and he asked that Prince William amend his itinerary to reflect reality.
The head of Israel's Shin Bet security organization, Nadav Argaman, just revealed that so far this year the agency has prevented more than 250 terror attacks. The incidents include suicide bombings, shootings, and abductions. The security chief stressed that the combination of quality, dedicated human assets, and advanced technology with unique and professional operational methods all helped to stop the Arab schemes before they could be carried out. The Shin Bet also released details regarding the arrest of a terror cell in April that had been planning a series of sophisticated bombing and shooting attacks in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv. The members of the group had strong connections to terror organizations, including the Syrian-based al-Nusra Front and Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu said that the ongoing Hamas attempts to harm us from Gaza, as well as from Judea and Samaria, illustrates why Israel will continue to maintain control of security in the area west of the Jordan River.
Israel Aerospace Industries recently demonstrated the capabilities of its newest kamikaze drone called Rotem. It's a lightweight, multi-rotor lethal assault drone with vertical takeoff and landing capabilities. It can be deployed within 1 minute by a single soldier and can hover for up to 45 minutes before diving at a speed of nearly 60 miles per hour. Boaz Levy, the Executive Vice President and General Manager of IAI, said Rotem, with its multiple capabilities, constitutes a unique platform for enhancing land battles. He believes a drone that combines reconnaissance and surveillance, terrain dominance, and a combination of various sensors and assault capabilities adds significant value to fighting forces, with an emphasis on complex warfare situations that require fast, accurate, and available response to battlefield threats.
France supported a UN Security Council resolution condemning Israel for the recent Gaza violence, even though Paris had been informed that the terrorists were being paid by the Ayatollahs to stage the riots. The government of President Emmanuel Macron shamelessly backed the bill, which called for the taking of protective measures for Gazans, despite being informed by a Palestinian official that Tehran has been fully financing and pushing the Hamas demonstrations.
Soccer fans throughout the world are demanding that FIFA remove an Iranian football player for tweeting that Israel would cease to exist. FIFA has reportedly been inundated with complaints from fans, including several in Iran, who are demanding that Mehdi Taremi, the forward for the Iranian team, be banned from the sport for reposting a cruel and hateful comment by Ayatollah Khamenei. And in a related story, FIFA has announced that it will begin disciplinary proceedings against the head of the Palestinian Football Association for incitement. Jabril Rajoub led a vicious campaign against the Argentinian national team after it announced that it would play in Israel. He called on soccer fans to burn the jerseys of Argentinian players. He also incited Palestinian extremists to threaten the athletes and their families. The bullying worked. Buenos Aires canceled the much-anticipated game. Jerusalem praised the International Soccer Association for responding to the complaints against Rajoub. The Israeli Football League remains determined to exercise its right to participate in the sport that so many Israelis love.
Tourism to Israel continues to rise despite Hamas violence on the Gaza border. According to the most recent Central Bureau of Statistics report, nearly 400,000 tourists arrived in the Holy Land in May, which is 14% more than last year and 33% higher than during the same month back in 2016. Altogether, just about 2 million people have visited Israel since the beginning of the year, which reflects a 22% jump compared with the same period in 2017 and a whopping 53% increase over 2 years ago.
Arabs in the Hamas-run territory of Gaza continue to send dozens of incendiary kite bombs into the Jewish state, destroying thousands of acres of farmland and forest. But Israelis are responding with love by sending balloons filled with candy and messages of hope to Gazans. This phenomenon has become an encouraging trend for residents in towns in southern Israel who have been forced to scramble to bomb shelters as Iranian-made rockets fired from the terrorist enclave rained down on their communities. The fires have destroyed crops and have made conditions for the civilian population near the border almost unbearable. After Hamas vowed to launch 5,000 kite bombs into Israel, Israelis gathered at the border to send colorful balloons with candy and messages of love to the children of Gaza. The mayor of Rio de Janeiro entertained 4,000 people at a concert he held to raise funds for a Holocaust memorial in Brazil. Marcelo Crivella is an evangelical Christian with close ties to the Jewish community in his country and in Israel. He explained that the construction of a monument honoring victims of the Holocaust is important because without a reminder, the past could simply be repeated. The mayor stressed that this memorial will serve to awaken the conscience of everyone who sees it. Osias Warman, Israel's honorary consul, attended the event and said that it was really touching to see the mayor sing, "I Am Israel," with the whole audience standing and surrounded by Israeli flags. He described it as a unique moment in the memory of the Holocaust and the glory of the Jewish state.
That concludes the news portion of our show. Stay tuned for Ask the Source with Josh Reinstein.
Hello and welcome to Ask the Source. I'm your host Josh Reinstein and we're here on a beautiful sunny day on our rooftop studio in Jerusalem. My guest today is Rabbi Tuli Weiss. He's the founder of Israel 365. Rabbi Weiss, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Rabbi Weiss, tell our viewers a little bit about what is Israel 365.
Israel 365 is a newsletter. It's an inspirational message from Jerusalem that goes out every day to 300,000 people around the world.
And this is really exciting. You're also the editor of the New Israel Bible. Tell our viewers about that.
So we just came out and just published the Israel Bible. We've been working on it for a long time, many years actually, and it's the first Bible. It's groundbreaking in that it is the only Bible exclusively dedicated to the land of Israel, the people of Israel, and the God of Israel.
Explain that a little more. How does it differ from the Jewish Standard Press Bible?
So there's a lot of Jewish Bibles out there, but our unique feature is the commentary and the hundreds of study notes that highlight Israel on every page in every chapter of the Hebrew Bible. We have the Hebrew on the right side of the page and the English on the left side of the page, and on the bottom is our special commentary all about Israel.
What's interesting is this has become a huge hit with Bible-believing Christians. Why do you think Christians are so excited about your version of the Bible?
So it's a fascinating history. Christians have only been studying the Bible for themselves for 500 years, and we've been studying the Bible in Hebrew since God gave it to us, since God gave it to Moses. And so our traditional understanding, the Hebrew meaning of the words, is very rich. And so now, as more and more Christians are connecting with what's happening in Israel and the prophecy that is being fulfilled here in the land, tons of Christians, millions of Christians, as you know, as many of your listeners and viewers are interested in connecting with the Hebrew and the Hebrew roots of the Bible.
You're also doing Bible studies as an Orthodox rabbi, but inviting Christians to attend. Why do you think it's important to have Christians at the Bible studies?
It's wow, there's so many, the Israel represents the fulfillment of prophecy, the regathering of the people of Israel to the land of Israel, and then the rebirth of the land itself. The last stage in the fulfillment of prophecy, the last stage of redemption, is when Jews and non-Jews are going to be recognizing God together and studying the Torah together. That's what it says in Isaiah 2, that in the end of days, all the nations are going to flock and stream up to this holy mountain and are going to say, "Come, let us study, teach us the Torah. From Zion shall come forth the Torah, and the word of God from Jerusalem." And that is what's happening today. So we're just trying to bring that forward. And the Knesset, our Bible study every month at the Knesset, is the greatest, I think, in our time, fulfillment of that prophecy.
What's really interesting to me is that you have a news site and you also have a way of teaching the Bible. And I've always said that if you can't read the Bible, then you can't read the newspaper because it doesn't match up. How do you see the Bible being fulfilled through news today?
So many people who are watching the news and mainstream media are getting a very biased account of what's really happening here. And so our perspective on breaking Israel news is the biblical perspective. If you really want to understand what's happening in Jerusalem, you can't go back to 1967 or to 1948. You got to go all the way back to when King David purchased the land thousands of years ago. So breaking Israel news is always trying to frame what's happening here in the land from a biblical perspective.
What's interesting to us is we see Jews and Christians come together on a myriad of different issues, the current politics, spiritual cooperation, financial cooperation. What do you think is the future of this new relationship in the 21st century?
I think that it is exploding, and yeah, the political support, we're seeing the fruit of that labor. Many years of faith-based diplomacy is starting to have amazing results right now, and financial support has been around for many years, and right now, as the Jewish community gains more confidence and faith in the relationship, it's a two-sided relationship, and as we're starting to build deeper relationships, we're able to finally share our most precious asset and our most precious treasure, and that is the Bible, with our Christian friends. And I think that by strengthening our relationship and by strengthening the education through the study of our our love for the Bible, it will help expand the relationships even much more than we're seeing today.
So that brings up a really interesting point. So you're saying that studying the Torah together not only gives you a spiritual advantage, but it gives you other advantages as well. What kind of other advantages do Jews and Christians have when they study the Torah together?
The Bible has been the source of friction and divisiveness between Jews and Christians throughout our history. You know, we have the Old Testament and they have the New Testament. And now, finally, the Bible is becoming the source of unity between Jews and Christians, exactly like God had intended.
Well, one of the things that we see is that mainstream Christians who believe in replacement theology, is actually moving farther away from Israel. Do you think that the work that you're doing through the Bible and the Bible studies can bring those churches into the fold, or is this strictly for Bible-believing Christians?
You know, any Christian who actually reads the Bible and who cares about the Bible is going to see that there is no more Zionist text or piece of literature than the Tanakh. And so therefore, you can't read the Bible without understanding the importance of the physical land of Israel and the regathering of the physical people of Israel. And so it's shocking that you could even read the Bible and come to the crazy conclusion of replacement theology. So I do believe as more non-Jews, more Christians start to read the Bible, and if they can read it from a Hebrew and Jewish perspective, then replacement theology is going to be gone.
What about the next generation? There's this fear that the youth in the Christian community are not going to follow their parents' lead and be pro-Israel, but they're going to be into this social justice phenomenon. What do you see for the future of the youth in the Christian community?
We're seeing a lot of exciting trends in the young millennial generation as well. There's Christian birthright groups that are coming here with the Bible, and they're trying to understand how to put things in perspective. And when they come here for themselves and see what's actually happening for themselves and not what they're watching on the media, they understand that they've been fed a series of lies. And Israel's so beautiful, and if you want to support social justice, you're going to support the state of Israel.
Absolutely. There are literally tens of millions of people watching this show. What message do you have for our viewing audience?
If you're looking to explore the Hebrew roots of the Bible and to understand it from a Jewish perspective, so check out the Israel Bible. It's available on our website, theisraelbible.com. You could get it also at Amazon.
Thanks, Rabbi, for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in to Ask the Source. I'm your host, Josh Reinstein. Now back to the studio.
Up next, the return to Zion with Karen Hayesod.
Shalom and welcome to the Return to Zion with Keren HaYesod United Israel Appeal. I'm Eliezer Moody Sandberg, World Chairman of Keren HaYesod, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. After 2,000 years, we found the descendants of the lost tribe of Dan. Please help us welcome our brothers and sisters back home. God bless you from Jerusalem.
He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will assemble the scattered people of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Isaiah 11:12.
Christians and Jews have been bearing witness to the miraculous fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Since the reestablishment of the State of Israel in 1948, the ingathering of the Jewish people to the Holy Land has unfolded before our very eyes. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bring your children from the east and gather you from the west. I will say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not hold them back. Bring my sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. Isaiah 43:5. Today, Keren HaYesod has been tasked with completing one of the greatest examples of the fulfillment of this prophecy, the Aliyah of the Ethiopian Jews, the descendants of the tribe of Dan. On October 29, 2012, we were able to bring 250 new immigrants from Ethiopia to Israel. Keren HaYesod is not only tasked with paying the costs of their flights and accommodations, but also with their absorption into Israeli society. There are still around 2,000 Ethiopian Jews who pray daily to come back to the land of Israel, and we need your help to bring them home. We are reaching out to our Christian brothers and sisters and asking you to join us. In this new century, as in the old, Christians must reach out to the Jewish people and do their part to advance the fulfillment of the prophecy and defend the covenant. Help us bring the children of Israel back to the land of Israel. I will bless those who bless you and curse those who curse you. Genesis 12:3.
2,800 שנה של גלות. איך פערים אדירים בגיאוגרפיה, בציוויליזציה, לא יכולים להחליש את הכמיהה הזו, שהביאה כולנו לישראל, והיום גם אתם בבית. ברוכים הבאים.
בכל פעם שנפרדנו, הייתי אומר לכם שיגיע הרגע וניפגש בארץ ישראל. אחיי ואחיותיי, הרגע הגיע. מעומק ליבי אני מאחל לכם ברוכים הבאים למולדת.
Come join Keren HaYesod in fulfilling biblical prophecy. Let's bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
Early in my term as Israel's ambassador to the United States, I entered the office of a congressman from West Texas. Now, his district was probably several times larger than the state of Israel. He probably had few Jews in his constituency. But he had opened on his desk the Bible. And it was open to a chapter of Genesis in which God says, "Those who bless my people shall be blessed." The congressman pointed to that passage and he said to me, I believe in that. How much aid does Israel need for its defense? Now, I was taken aback by that at first, but I began to know and to deeply appreciate faith-based diplomacy, both in the United States and around the world. Not only in America, but now in Latin America, in Asia, in Africa, indeed around the world. Christians are standing up for Israel. Christians are standing shoulder to shoulder with us in difficult forums such as the United Nations, in the media, and in many other areas where Israel is routinely condemned. Christians are there with us. They have motivated the United States to move its embassy to Jerusalem, our eternal and undivided capital, and have been instrumental in impelling Guatemala and now Paraguay to follow America's example. Faith-based diplomacy is founded on the belief that God does not lie. When God says in the Bible that He loves His people, the children of Israel, when God promises to restore Jews to their ancient homeland, to rescue the Jews from exile, these Christians know that God keeps His promises. God loves His people, Israel, and so too do Christians worldwide. During the hard times of wars, during times when buses were blowing up in Jerusalem, when no tourists came to this country, evangelical Christians never left us alone. They were always there, and they are there today. Christian Zionists today have become nothing less than a redundancy. To be Christian today is to be just that, a lover of Israel, a Zionist.
Lift up your eyes and look around. All your children gather and come to you. The biblical prophecy is unfolding right before our very eyes. The people of Israel are returning to the Promised Land after 2,000 years of exile. But millions of Jews are still longing to come home. Anti-Semitism threatens many of the Jews. We must rescue them before the window of opportunity slams shut. Bless Israel by supporting Keren Hayesod United Israel Appeal, the leading official fundraising organization for the State of Israel. Together, we can fulfill the prophecy of the Bible.
Let us bless Israel together.
To donate and get information, call us at 1-800-505-1665 or visit our website at www.khisrael.org.
That's all for this edition of Israel Now News. I'm Yochanan El-Rom.
And I'm Erin Viner, reporting from our studio in Jerusalem. Please join us again next week for all of your Israel updates.